Good morning, YouTube. This is WakMed19, and today we're going to talk about positions in Call of Duty. So the first thing that you would want to notice or note is that positions means what you should play and where you should play. So first think of this. If you get a specific map, say you get a specific map of standoff, and you know what gun you want to use on that map, okay, you're already a step or two ahead. Now, what gun do you want to use on that map? Well, if you want to use a shotgun on that map, you're going to stay to the smaller sight lines, you're going to stay to the shorter sight lines, you're going to stay inside the houses, maybe you're going to stay on back alley, because most of those places are either one-shot kills or you'd be able to get those follow-up shots. In that short range, your shotgun has the advantage. What you're going to do on the other side of that is that you're going to stay out of the street. Well, that just makes sense. If you get into the street, then there's no reason that you have a shotgun in your hands. You can't do anything when someone comes up far away or outside of your shot line or outside of your range. Now, if you carry a tomahawk, you can make an argument that there is something that you can do. If you're running overkill, this isn't the point. I'm talking about the primary weapon that you're starting the game with and the playstyle that you choose because of it. Now, if you use an assault rifle, then you're going to be playing in a different location. You're not going to stick to those shorter sight lines. You're not going to stick to the cramped places in Grandma's house and the other houses. You're not going to specifically limit yourself in your sight line to where it's at. Now, think of the turn. If you follow Major League Gaming, think of the turn on the hardpoint hill for the church. A lot of players will switch, not a lot, some pro players will switch over to a shotgun class specifically for this hardpoint because of the extremely short sight lines and the fact that most of the times that you're going to be trying to get a kill, you're going to be trying to get a kill right on top of the other player. And so whenever you have that really, really short sight line, you're playing with a shotgun. Now, this is done on purpose. The reason that they have chosen a shotgun is not because of the map specifically. It's more because of the way they're going to play the map. Not only that, their teammates know what it is that they're going to use. They know the gun that they're going to use, and because they know the gun they're going to use, they know the routes that they're going to take, and they know the flanking style and the ability and the inability of their teammate. Now, this is something that's more important whenever you're running with a large group, whenever you're running with 6 or 4, whenever you're running with at least 3. I would think that you'd have to have more than 3 considering pub lobbies being 6. And it's also something that's not going to matter as much in Black Ops 2 because it's getting harder and harder to get a lobby for 6 people. Now, if you have all of your people, if you're running as a group, it's hard even in pubs unless you are dedicated with one another to winning, which you're going to find more in League. It's hard to find that this type of thing and implement who's playing what position. So maybe we're talking about League play, and this is my roundabout way of getting to say we're going to be talking about League play specific anymore in Black Ops 2 and what positions you should play. So now that we're in this discussion, you would want to specifically say that there are people that are going to play certain positions. When I started playing Black Ops, the original, I played as a camper. I was a defender, and I played capture the flag, hardcore capture the flag, and I was a guy that sat back. We had 2 people that sat back and camped the flag and defended. We had 2 people that played mids, and we had 2 runners, and I was either a runner or a defender. I never played middle. Middle would be Slayer. I was not a Slayer. I still lose a lot of one-on-ones, but I really lost one-on-ones back then. So the people that played mid, they didn't go for the flag. They didn't have those classes set up. They didn't play their character in such a way that they didn't spec him out that way. They didn't plan to do those things with him. They didn't run routes, and they weren't in the parts of the map to run those routes with that flag, but they were there for cutoffs. So whenever you're in league play, whenever you're trying to be successful, whether it's at team deathmatch or whether it's at the other games in the mosh pit, you're going to have to remember that whatever position you decide to play whenever you start this game is the position you're going to need to hold to for most of the game, and if not, you need to be able to switch up and use a different role, and you should be covering specific lines. Now, if you have an AR, and we're going to go back to our example on standoff, if you have an AR, you're going to be covering street, you're going to be covering those longer sight lines, and as long as you're alive and giving the call out that you're alive or not dead or however it is that you've worked out with your team that you're giving that call out, as long as you're alive, your teammate should be able to depend on you to cover or at least to call out enemies in the location that you are covering. Okay, so if there's an enemy in the street, you give the call out and you try to kill him, you try to challenge. If you can take him down, that's great. If you've challenged and it's unsuccessful, that's fine. But you've given the call out and your teammate knows that someone is coming from street. So this is cool. Okay, at least something was done. You covered your section, your segment. Your teammate doesn't get flanked. Okay, this is the major point. Why don't pro players look in this window? Because they know that this window is covered by their teammates, and this is extremely important to be successful. If you don't have to look two ways, you can concentrate on looking one way, and this is going to increase your odds more than 50% and more than 100% in being able to challenge the other player in that one direction. Go back to go to any example you want to, really, but the hard point on church. I was watching some Rambo video where he was talking about the hard point church on Yemen, where his teammates were covering front jump, so he only had to watch door, back door, front door, whatever, whichever door is the only other door. There's only two ways to get in and out of that hard point. But he only had to watch door, and since he only had to watch door, he was able to be more successful whenever it came to being time to challenge in door, because he knew window was covered by his peoples. So being able to know what your teammates are doing, this is one of the reasons why some teams do well in Major League Gaming events and some teams don't do so well, and this is one of the things that makes teamwork. This is one of the things that makes cohesiveness matter. This is one of the things that makes chemistry matter. If you don't feel like your teammate is watching your back or watching your side, then you're going to devote more time looking at something that doesn't have to be looked at. Anytime you're turned the wrong way, you're a sitting duck from a different direction. Okay, you basically make yourself flankable by looking in the wrong direction. If you're looking left by 90 degrees and the primary direction, your only focus, what you're supposed to be paying attention to, is straight ahead of you, then you may as well have turned around and jumped up and down. You've effectively become blind to the area that you should be covering. So if you're in long building, on that, in our example of standoff, if you're in long building, then you should be covering street. Okay, with your AR, with your sniper rifle, with your weapon of choice. I'm not trying to tell you exactly what to use. You customize it to yourself. So you're covering street. If you have to turn and look at if you're playing capture the flag, if you look at where your flag spawn is, or your domination flag, if you have to turn and look back into your own spawn, not only are you opening yourself up to be shot, you're opening your teammates up so that you can miss the call out. You're opening your teammates up so that you can be flanked. If you get shot, then this is a whole weak link. This is a whole side of the map that isn't being covered now. And it gives the other players a positional advantage, the enemy team a positional advantage where they can make flanking routes, this is a power play now. Even if it's an immediate spawn type game, this is still a power play because of where the spawns are going to be and where it is that you're going to come back to life and where you're going to rejoin this struggle. So it's now effectively a power play for the enemy team, and you have failed. You have to know your role and be able to play it. Now, if you think about positions, if you think about Call of Duty having positions and positions that you should play and fill, then this is more understandable. You hear that guy yelling at you when you get back to the lobby that you weren't able to do this or you weren't able to do that, or he says, I guess I'll have to do it myself. That guy understands more what positions are. I don't know. Give me your thoughts. What do you think? Thanks. Have a great day.